What is an artist's magnum opus? The best way to put it is that it is the defining piece of art for the artist, the most integral and definitive performance we, the audience, might consider to be the quintessential understanding or describing of their work. The simple version is, it's the most important piece of art the artist does. I'm gonna say something controversial. Art is subjective. So whether you'd agree that the stuff I'm about to talk about is the quote-unquote best thing this artist has created is your call. I'm just here to tell you why I think this is Daisuke Shiwatari's most important piece of art. I'm Stargazer018, and Daisuke Shiwatari is my favorite artist on Earth. For simplicity's sake, I'm going to refer to him by Daisuke for the rest of this video, because that's what the community around his work is used to. So who is Daisuke Shiwatari? He's best described as a game developer, a musician, a creative writer, and an illustrator. Yes, all those titles apply to him professionally and personally, and that's not even an exhaustive list. He's best known for being the father of the Guilty Gear series and his prolific work creating the sounds of the BlazBlue series. And his presence is felt in tons of other media he's had an influence on. Even as a fan of these things, you may not even be aware of his direct hand in things you've seen or heard. Daisuke is famously deeply obsessed with music, and his baby, Guilty Gear, is more or less a look at his music taste through the lens of his imagination. If you're someone who values artistic expression and the unique perspective of an artist, well, I think you owe it to yourself to consider Daisuke's work and really look for an appreciation of it. I could talk for long enough to overheat 50 PS5s playing Guilty Gear Strive on stage about countless topics or works related to the man, but I want to focus on just this one. We're going to be talking about music here, and not just one song. This series of tracks I want to discuss have been delivered to us in a storytelling order for almost 30 goddamn years, and honestly, I'm not the least bit confident Daisuke has said everything he wants to say with them just yet. This is the series of Guilty Gear tracks I think are the most important to the artist in a way it's possible you may have missed, even as a fan. It's funny, because also in a way, I think Daisuke himself has told us as much in almost as unsubtly a manner as possible. I've almost given you enough preamble for this, but first I have to give you a disclaimer. I am not a musician. I have no knowledge of how to produce music, and I don't even know how to properly use terms to describe music. I'm talking about all this from the perspective of someone who adores the work of this artist, and though I think my understanding of music theory or production in these tracks is a layman's, I think my perspective as a passionate fan of the work is strong. I apologize in advance to any musicians or musical scholars who are offended about the words that I use or unclear reads on things I might have. If you want to educate me, leave a comment. If I need a music lesson, hit me. With that out of the way, Daisuke's magnum opus. Justice is the main antagonist of Guilty Gear. That is, the game titled Guilty Gear. Justice is a recurring antagonist, but hasn't been playable in a while. She's canonically dead and gets resurrected every other game or so. But for the most part, the series seems to be pretty done with letting us play as her. Justice is significant, though, because as you probably know, she's the love interest of the story's protagonist, Soul Bad Guy, or Freddy Bulsara. No, not that one. Yeah, that guy. Justice did a whole bunch of war crimes in the story, and she had to be killed by Soul, but her true identity as his lover, Arya, has been a topic the series has been extremely interested in exploring and expanding on. Is it literally every entry? It probably is. In modern Guilty Gear, Justice is sorta pseudo-reincarnated as Jacko, and there are a few characters who are considered to be daughters of Justice. This involves cloning and a whole lot of really insane magic stuff you didn't come here to learn about, but the simplest way to put it is that the characters Dizzy, Valentine, Elfelt, and Ramlethal are the children of Justice and Soul. You don't have to correct me on the particulars, I know them, but let's not get bogged down in the lore talk. Justice's theme song in her appearances is titled Meet Again, which of course is a reference to Frederick and Arya's reunion as Soul and Justice decades after tragedy struck them and the world changed. You're listening to it right now, and it's the seminal track in this discussion, because every song in the main series written for and about characters related to Justice contains it. Meet Again is no longer about that one reunion, but about how we, the audience, meet Justice again, each time we're reminded of her impact on the narrative. I want to play for you the bridge of Meet Again, a version of the song from the Guilty Gear Complete soundbox that I consider to be the definitive arrangement of the song by Daisuke. What you just heard is what I refer to as the Justice riff, or sometimes I call it the Diva riff, because, give me a minute and I'll show you. In 2007, Arc System Works released Guilty Gear 2 Overture, a game that is not the most fondly remembered, but I love it. It's not a fighting game, it's some kind of 3D action proto-MOBA with weird-as-hell ideas throughout and drifting. This game is extremely significant, though. It's got a linear story that dives into Guilty Gear's setting and characters in a way that the fighting games hadn't been able to up until now, so if you like the overall setting and want to maybe play the most 2007 thing ever, you should check it out. It's also significant, though, because it's very evident that this was a major passion project for Daisuke. You can tell that the oddities in it are things that came from the imagination of the man himself, or his team, but they aren't there to make a marketable game. It's a piece of art, for better or worse, and nothing says that more strongly than the music. Pound for pound, Guilty Gear 2 has Daisuke's best work in the music department. You can disagree, but you're wrong. There are 0 tracks composed by Daisuke in this game that don't belong at a minimum in the A tier area of any tier list of his other soundtracks, and there's one that eclipses all of them. Diva is the final boss theme of this game's story mode. It plays during a huge set-piece battle in which Soul is grappling with voices from his past and the fate of his friends and found family in the present. Who is that battle against, though? Valentine is the first of Justice's colloquial offspring. She's a clone. Don't overthink it. What's important is that, for all intents and purposes, Soul is contending with Justice in this battle, at the very least her memory. The first thing we hear in the song is the melodic piano and opera leading us in, which, wow, it's... And next we're greeted by a familiar melody. The similarities don't end here, as Diva's progression and rhythm also imitate Meet Again, and that matters because it isn't the last time we'll have that as our through line. Overall, I consider this to be the single best piece of music ever written, but you can call me dumb for that. I'm right, but I am dumb. So where do we go next with this? Next is Guilty Gear Xrd, where the first reference we get to this is very apparent. When I heard this during Xrd's arcade release, I gotta tell you, what it did to my emotions was unspeakable. The first of Justice's blood legacy to greet us in this era of Guilty Gear was Ramlethal, and I'm gonna play for you a clip of her theme now, titled Diva of Despair. This isn't a very deep cut. I know if you've paid attention to Guilty Gear's music, you knew that Diva appeared here. I hope that maybe I just taught you that it was actually Meet Again. Once again, this song begins in an operatic, melodic tone. Diva of Despair continues to have similar ideas expressed throughout as Diva and Meet Again, with its energetic rhythm and clunky melodies. If anyone wants to suggest to me why the hell bagpipes sneak into this song later on, I'd love to know what Daisuke was thinking. But when they do, the melody is what I would call a corruption of the Justice riff and bears similarities to it. It's almost an inversion of it. Next up, still in Xrd, we have Ramlethal's sister, Elfelt, and her theme titled Marionette. Marionette's references aren't what I'd call direct melody grabs. The opera sneaks into it here. And though I think this song's lead guitar is the voice of Elfelt, I can hear Justice and or Valentine through Meet Again and Diva in the rhythm. Particularly is a reference to Valentine's normal battle theme, not the boss one. That song is called The Mask Does Not Laugh, and it sounds like this. And here it is in Marionette. I'm inclined to call the music box breakdown in this song a reference to the intro to Meet Again, but take from that what you will. Last up from Xrd is Jacko's theme, Juno. Jacko, like I mentioned, is a soft reincarnation of Justice, and probably best thought of as her shadow, another aria, another Justice. So naturally, Justice has to appear in this song, right? Yeah, that was the Justice riff again. It's been altered to reflect that Jacko is a quite different person, and the overall vibe of the song almost couldn't be a further world apart. That's the point, though. We still get the high energy and dignified wailing guitars that characterize Justice, they just sound different. You might be thinking right now that I haven't talked about Dizzy yet. Well, I don't think that Dizzy's theme in her initial appearance alongside Justice in Guilty Gear XX labored to be a reference or mirror Justice too strongly. It might, but it's not a part of the trend I'm establishing here. Do you know what song is? Dizzy's theme in Guilty Gear Xrd has within it all of the ideas I expressed about it being operatic, high energy, wailing at us with lead guitars. It is integral to Dizzy's character that she is as close to literally Justice's daughter as possible, even sharing a lot of her mother's moves. But she is thematically opposite to her. Dizzy is a good little cinnamon bun, and Justice is a big evil death robot. For that reason, the tone of this song is different. But if you've ever asked yourself why Dizzy, as a cute little cinnamon bun, has a song that is so interested in shredding your face off, because of Justice. So now we're going to get into the modern stuff. Ramlethal, Jacko, Elfelt, and Dizzy all appear in Guilty Gear Strive, and guess what? Justice came along for the ride. Let's listen to a clip from Ramlethal's theme, Necessary Discrepancy. There's Meet Again and Diva again. You probably knew this one too. If you did, gold star. This song also starts on a low note with a rolling synth melody that echoes the intro to Meet Again and Diva. Also, if you didn't know, this whole song is a big reference to the song Bitches Crystal by Emerson, Lake and Palmer. It's actually a really funny bit of trivia, and you should investigate it. If you're listening to me yap about this, I'm sure you'll love that. I can't play that for you, but look it up. Earlier, I mentioned that I think Daisuke expressed to us how important all these connections are and overtly stated it to us. Where I see that is the fact that Strive's soundtrack is titled after this song. In my opinion, this is the song that Daisuke cared the most about, poured the most of his soul into. He wants you to hear this reference and to know where it came from. Next up is Jacko and Perfection Can't Please Me. Yeah, that one's pretty easy because it's the same reference that was in Juno. I hate for you to view that as reductive because this previously probably was the reference specifically to Xrd and Jacko's debut that you thought of. But the fact is, like I said, Jacko is Justice's shadow. Strive's story has a lot to do with her evolution out of that role, and that's why the tone of this song is so dramatically different from the others that evoke Justice. That melody is Justice, though. Time for Elfelt. Extras. I touched on that I thought Marionette expressed Elfelt's voice very well, and I think that carries on here. That's intentional. Elfelt is literally a thrash metal singer in-universe, and this song is explicitly sung by Elfelt. So where is Justice? The reference specific to Marionette isn't Justice here in my view, but it has to do with the energy, again. But there's also this. This guitar is all throughout Extras, and maybe you can call this one a stretch, but I choose to believe it isn't. I think it's just that Elfelt and Extras possess Justice's DNA without literally saying it. I love that it manifests differently and you can use your feelings to detect it. I could even be pressed to say that I think the bass intro to the song is another nod to the intro to Meet Again. Actually, as a matter of fact, I've decided it is. Daisuke is built like that. We're almost done. Next up is Dizzy and Radiant Dawn. I think Dizzy's music being fast-paced and electric comes from Justice. You might expect that the gentle queen character archetype would sound pretty different, and I think the vocals reflect that. But there is a reference to Justice in here that I think is direct, and it's the solo. wailing notes that this solo starts and ends on are definitely references to Justice or the Diva riff. Even if it's just that wailing 1-2, it is Justice's voice creeping in. For Dizzy, once again, I think this is a bit subtle, and that's the strength of the reference. And we're done. That's all of them, right? No. Actually, it isn't, because Daisuke gave us another bitchin' one just now, and I'm gonna show you. Unika is the newest character to Guilty Gear, and look at her colors. Justice is back. Well, not really. But Unika is the daughter of Kai and Dizzy, so Justice is Unika's grandmother. Unsurprisingly, Unika's theme references Kai and Dizzy pretty heavily, and it's super easy to find those. But did you know Justice was in here too? I can easily point at the overall tone of the song like I have been doing, and I don't think that's insignificant, but in the third act of the song, we get those references to Unika's bloodline in Kai and Dizzy. But it's how this referential passage concludes that I want you to listen to. Just as with Radiant Dawn, we can hear those same wailing notes wrap up this section and walk us back to the bridge of Unika's theme. And the 3-hit rhythm underlying them is also straight out of Meet Again. On top of that, this song also has the subdued synth intro that echoes Necessary Discrepancy and a running theme with these songs. I'm very confident that this is here on purpose. If you think any of this is a stretch, my answer to you is that Unika is Justice's granddaughter, and referencing her should be thin or subtle, like the blood has thinned. This is why Daisuke Ishiwatari's Magnum Opus is named Valentine. Justice is my favorite character in the series, despite that I've never played the character, because I think it's very clear that she's also Daisuke's favorite character. Maybe you think that's wrong because Soul Bad Guy is practically his self-insert, but I hope I've illustrated to you why I think Daisuke bears his soul regarding Justice, and what I think it means to him as an artist. Thanks for listening to me talk about this stuff I'm ridiculously hyper-fixated on. I actually play these games, believe it or not, but what I love the most is the creative expression of them. I think Guilty Gear is a series that is built from the passion of artists, and especially one in particular, and I want nothing more than to hear more out of them. Put Justice in the game, please, I'm begging you. Like and subscribe. I'm going to do more stuff about things I like, and leave a comment telling me what an idiot I am for talking about music with no understanding of how it's made. Bye!
Defiance drowned. Start is night. Breath is mine.